Thank you so much, John, for joining me today and to open up the Unconference plenary with a fireside chat about new innovations in the world of ABCD. Before we get started on the innovations, John, can you just tell us what is ABCD?
Well, at the beginning, I would say that ABCD was based on research that asked the question in neighborhoods, what have you done together that has made things better? And we collected a couple of thousand stories from neighborhood people and then analyzed them and decided that they used 5 basic resources whenever they were involved in making things better. And those resources were all there in the neighborhood. So ABCD says there are assets in your neighborhood, which when you connect them effectively, can make everybody's life better. And that's what ABCD was about. And just quickly, those assets are first, the gifts of individuals. Second, the associations that people create with their individual talents when they combine them and connect them. The third is the local institutions that can be used to put together an effective change. Those might be a post office, a fire station, a library especially. The fourth is the third is the physical environment, the very neighborhood itself. The fourth is the exchange that goes on among all of the people there when they share, trade, barter, even buy and sell. And the fifth is stories, that it is the story that tells us what we have done and allows us to think about what worked, what didn't work, and why. So those are the 5 assets. They're the building blocks for local community change when you're using the resources that you have rather than when you're focused outside on the resources of institutions.
That's great. Thank you, John. So it's been 20 years since you and Jody wrote the book, Building Communities from the Inside Out, which is an amazing book. And I have it right at my desk here. And since then, you've written several other books, and you have a new book coming out with Cormac Russell. Can you tell us about some new innovations in the world of ABCD that you have seen since in the 20 years?
Good. Well, first off, the name of the new book is The Connected Community, and it's divided into 3 sections that can lead a local neighborhood through a process that will create the most effective, life-improving kinds of changes that we know. So it's sort of the basic book we did was Building Communities from the Inside Out, and it identified the assets, the 5 assets. But this book is sort of the follow-up, which says, now here's the path you can take when you want to use those assets. And so we think it'll be very useful. It's a very practical book. So in terms of innovations, which are incorporated in this book, I think of many, but 2 I would mention at the present time. And the first is that what I think we have realized over the last 20 years is that in many, many, many neighborhoods, they have become less and less powerful because they don't have anything that they think they need to do. They have basically come to be homeowners or renters in a place, and anything that's going to make the place better is going to happen because of somebody else, some professional, some expert, some agency, some government, right? And the result of that is that many neighborhoods have no power. And incidentally, that's pretty bad, because if a lot of people think they don't have any power, it makes them create pretty bad reactions that I think already polarizes us, because we don't have enough power making going on in our neighborhoods. So one could say what's happened over the last 20, 30 years, I'd say 50, is slow but surely functions that were performed in the neighborhood were taken over by institutions. Or you could say we in neighborhoods gave up on fulfilling our functions. Now, that wouldn't be so bad, but the problem with it is that we are in a world where there are changes that we like to see that would make life better, but no outside institution can do it for us. We have to do it. We have to take on basic functions, and if we don't do it, nobody else will. And so I would call that the process in which we are refunctioning neighborhoods. And we think of, in latter days now, 7 kinds of functions that neighborhoods need to perform because nobody else will. And they include security and safety, education, health, ecology, enterprise, the raising of children, and do you remember the 7?
Co-creating care?
Yeah, care, and care, especially for the vulnerable. If we don't come together as a we and take on functions that will make us healthier, wiser, better educated, nobody else can do the part that only we can do. The best example currently a lot of people know about is we have given over to some a government agency called the police our security. And what's happened is that the police cannot fulfill the basic functions of making us secure. And every police chief will tell you that. Well, the police chief will say, we're doing everything I can, but what we really need to have happen is that the community has to become a critical actor in our security. And the same thing is true of health, and the same thing is true of education. So the innovations that are going on now, I think, in the ABCD world is to take on those functions that only we can do and use our assets as the building blocks to make these things happen. Now, the second innovation, and we're just on the way to developing this, and Heather, you've been a great help in this effort, but it is that more and more people have said to us, what we need to develop is a neighborhood culture. And so we've thought a lot about, well, you don't get a neighborhood culture from a neighborhood that has a bunch of programs. You get a neighborhood culture from a neighborhood that weaves those 7 functions together in a way that endures. So a culture is something that brings us together. You can't have a culture of one. A culture says we are a we culture building. We are a we, and what we do endures. It isn't like a program that ends. So what the other innovation that is going on now, and we invite anybody who's interested to contact us if you want to follow up on this, is to say that we're weaving our functions together so that we end up with a culture that will abide, that will carry on. For instance, one of the the functions is that, just as we've all heard, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a neighborhood to raise a child too. And so one of the functions is, what do we together do that will result in children being richly raised by all of us, not just the parents and the school. And that all of us, what we learn to do, the ways we go about raising our children, we weave a fabric. That is, if we have a responsibility to be part of raising the children, when would we stop that? We'll never stop it, because the children will keep coming. And so we need a culture, not a program that ends 2 years from now, right? And that's what the invention or innovation that I think we're right in the middle right now. What do you do to build a neighborhood culture in addition to whatever you may do to create programs?
I love it. Weaving a community culture. That's going to sit with me for a bit. And the fact that ABCD doesn't stop at end. It is something that we endure. We need to keep going and weave into our daily life. Thank you so much, John. I do hope you get a chance to attend. We have over 30 workshops at the Unconference.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it.
I am sure there is some new innovative ABCD projects and ideas and thoughts in those 30. So really, this Unconference is an innovative ABCD Unconference.